I remember when I was studying economics about 4 years ago, and I had to write this 50-page dissertation on a 1-month internship. I was working at a construction site, and it wasn't really an internship to begin with. I wasn't treated preferentially in any way, and I had no one showing me around or explaining just about anything, so I mostly worked long days of pure physical labor with only half an hour of lunchtime. Now, while the other students of my class were sitting in an office, comfortably complaining about having nothing to do, I was outside by 30-something degrees with an obligatory helmet on my head that seemed to absorb and contain all the sunbeams in case I wasn't already sweating profusely. However, I preferred it to the other half of the time, when it rained like I was standing underneath a waterfall. But the weather was really just a minor thing. My fellow classmates, for example, could start at 9 AM and go home at 3 PM, whereas I had to work twice as long and X times as hard. Ironically, all of us were avoiding checking the clock, so time would pass sooner, but I wished it was out of boredom. After that 1 month, what could have initially been my summer holidays, the last thing I wanted to do was write a 50-page dissertation. It did not help when school started again about 2 weeks later. All the homework, new assignments, weekly exams, demanding projects, all of it was too important to neglect and of immediate priority. So the deadline approached with remarkable speed, and all of a sudden we had 1 week left to turn it in. All of a sudden, right? I totally have myself to blame and would act differently today, but that was the mindset I was in 4 years ago. I did not even manage to start Saturday. It was so much that it paralyzed me. I did not know where or how to start, and so I chose to waste the whole day in denial, predictably irrational behavior. On Sunday, I managed to create a structure, a table of content, that would match all the objectives and ended up writing 4 quality pages. Not that much. I soon realized that my biggest problem was the time I had to spend additionally on researching. I had had no time to take notes, since I had been lifting heavy shit and operating machines all day. Nobody on the construction site had the time or even the expertise to explain the business side of things to me. With about 2.5 hours of sleep, I went to class on Monday, and as it turned out, I wasn't the only one in this self-imposed predicament, and we all knew what we had to do. Throughout the whole week, whatever time window we had, we would work on our dissertations. In every class with access to computers, of which we didn't have many. In every 15-minute break, once a day, and even a class or two where we managed to escape without consequences. My day and night cycle was ridiculous. I'd get home, completely exhausted, sleep for 3 hours and then work through the whole night. I worked on it until it was time to get on the bus again, or until I felt so tired that I read the same sentence 5 times and it still didn't make any sense to me. Like I couldn't read the alphabet anymore. The words just became a meaningless pulp of symbols, and every few minutes I would realize my mind had wandered off into a completely unrelated thought process, and I had lost track of what I was doing. If that was the case, I usually took a quick 2-hour nap to continue where I had left off. Surprisingly, that 2-hour nap was enough to revitalize my energy. I was forcing the words to come out. I had never written so creatively and professionally before. We have to turn it in by Friday, 12 AM, or we'll lose 20% of the possible points. A disastrous punishment. The whole week passed very quickly, but at the same time it felt like 2 months. On Friday, 11:30, 30 minutes before I had to hand it in, I was ready to print the damn thing, and the fucking printer doesn't work. I almost started panicking, and then something took over. I saw the world in slow motion, and we figured it out. I ended up reaching it in on time, but it felt like the whole week, every time I resisted falling asleep or giving up, and I kept struggling and used every time window imaginable contributed to me making it. As I've mentioned in an earlier video, I call this forced creativity. When you have no other option, you start seeing solutions that weren't there before. You become inventive and inspired, and conquer impossible odds. The whole week is a blur to me. Like a night out you've completely forgotten through consuming too much alcohol, and then you slowly recover some pieces of the puzzle, but you're not able to put the whole picture together. Months later, we were called in student by student, and the teacher, who was notorious for being the biggest asshole on campus, gave me the best mark possible, and even asked if he could use the last part of my work for future teaching. We're talking about a guy who would rather cut his own foot off than give an undeserved good mark and big words of admiration. That dissertation, to this day, is one of my best works, and even reading it feels strange. It's like someone with far superior skills wrote it. I don't even remember writing many of its parts, but I did write them. I know that as a fact because I can remember the emotions I felt. Anxious that I wouldn't make it, completely stressed out, but at the same time, like I was achieving something great. And a sort of pride that it wasn't a big enough challenge for me, that I could not only make it, but make it great. Believe me when I say, if I had done what seems to be the right thing, to work a month in advance and invest an hour every day, I would probably never have reached that sort of focus, dedication and creativity. It would not have been an A+, that's for sure. I remember that on Monday, I felt the full weight of what was on the line, and I made a decision. I was going to hustle. Not like I was arrogantly proud, more like even if it all went down in a fiery blaze of hell, at the very least, I would have tried and given it my all, and it worked out perfectly. Robert Greene has told a very similar story to this one about experiencing mastery, ironically, when his agents gave him a strict deadline to finish writing Mastery. Now, I'm not comparing my writing skills to Robert Greene's. He is my favorite author and his skill is impeccable. I'm comparing the situation, but even there, the period of time he was in that state was something around 8 weeks. No wonder he says writing his books almost kills him. He literally said, "I thought I was going to die." The first 2 to 3 days, he felt anger and didn't want to accept the situation, sort of wasting that time, but then he realized what was on the line. His book wouldn't have been published, a fucking disaster, and decided to give it his best, to try and make it happen, and he did, and it worked out perfectly. That's one way to be put on death ground. Whereas I had no one else to blame but myself. But when I read Mastery for the first time, I could relate so much because I had come to the same conclusions Robert Greene had. I was reading part of my own thoughts in a much more eloquent and researched way. However, and this is where we get to the bottom of things, what I just described is a glimpse of what Mastery looks like. I immediately went back to being normal. There was no deadline, no need for taking on such a huge workload in a challenging period of time. Imagine for a second, if Mastery, if how I handled that situation was my regular way of living, but I wouldn't feel drained of energy and eventually burn out that way. That sort of laser-like focus, determination and speed would be the norm. I would have the feeling that I have a greater command of reality, other people, and myself at all times. That would be true mastery. I'm working on it, and I hope you are too. Mastery by Robert Greene is by far one of the best books you will ever read. Mastery explains how you can become a leader in any given field by examining the lives and pathways to success of historical masters such as Mozart, Einstein, Benjamin Franklin, and Darwin, as well as living masters Greene has interviewed. So for all of you struggling with connecting the historical examples to today, there's a lot to be learned by contemporary masters who are crushing it in life right now. For all you power-hungry folks out there, understand this. The ultimate form of power is mastery. As a master, you are at the height of your power. And most people, not you because I believe in you as you are in fact watching a self-development video right now, but most people won't ever achieve mastery in anything. So the question is why? Everyone holds his fortune in his own hands. Like a sculptor, the raw material he will fashion into a figure. But it's the same with that type of artistic activity as with all others. We are merely born with the capability to do it. The skill to mold the material into what we want must be learned and attentively cultivated. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. That's the answer. All of us can, but few of us will, because it's hard. It's difficult, but it wouldn't be worth doing otherwise. Let me tell you why most people feel really fucking bad about themselves. They're miserable because every time they face resistance, they have two options. A. Do something about it, solve the problem, attack it head on, work hard. Or B. Choose the easy way. Choose immediate gratification that will work against them in the long run, and not to forget, blame everyone and everything else. take no responsibility whatsoever, and just wait for things to happen. And they always choose the second option. And that kind of mindset makes them believe they're not capable of doing great things. Fact is, they are capable, but it's so much more comfortable to sit around and do nothing while blaming your made-up, self-imposed inability forced on you by the rich and famous who want to keep you down and are constantly conspiring against you improving yourself. Please, for your sake and mine, don't think like that. And internalize. Only a break that is earned is worth taking. It will make you so much happier. Keys to mastery. Everyone can achieve mastery. It is not a lack of innate talent, superior genetics, or whatever else you blame it on. This wrong notion that the successful people have something you don't is comfortable thinking, as it doesn't require you to take action. No more excuses. Mastery can be achieved by anyone. I'm looking at you. You are a future master if you decide to put in the hours it takes to get there. That's good news and you should celebrate. Nothing beats hard work. Winning the lottery, for example, it's a small fucking chance for that anyways. As far as I'm concerned, it's a government-driven scam playing on your fantasies. But let's say you actually win the lottery. That doesn't magically give you any valuable skills. You'll have the money, sure, but becoming a master at something you love doing is so much more than finding a way to make good money with it. And waking up every day, being able to do whatever it is you want, will only make you happy if you've got a purpose. What's your why? Why do you get up in the morning? If the answer is because you have to, that's not a good answer. To me, becoming a little bit better every day is the main reason I got the motivation to jump out of bed in the morning with a smile. Because I'm constantly transforming as a human being to becoming a better person, and if I can help others like you by doing so, that will only make me even happier. Now, this is a personal mantra of mine. Born a peasant, die a king. Do not accept the roles society foists on you. That's you born as a peasant right here, see? No offense. And this is a crown. It implies that the guy right here is a fucking king. That can be you. Be royal in your own fashion. A big theme of the book is to rediscover your inner child's fascination. As children, we tend to be drawn to something naturally. It is through school, friends, and parenting that we get pushed into the opposite direction. We're all told to become lawyers and doctors, we're told to go to college, university, and pursue the jobs that pay the highest salaries. We're told to fit in, and our uniqueness is buried. No one asks us what we as individuals would love to do. But here's the catch. We can only truly master a field if we're genuinely driven by positive core emotions like love and passion for our craft. How else could you expect to be happy? You won't have the necessary drive to make it if you hate every living second of whatever it is you feel forced to do. Sorting through bland business documents all day in some office cubicle, I think, is the last thing anybody wants to do. Following your heart will be an emotional roller coaster, and the one and only essential thing that will make you push through the hardships that you will definitely live through is true and genuine passion for what you do. While reading through Mastery, I made a bunch of notes that I compiled into the next 20 lessons. I know it's a long video, but stick with me here. I'm convinced you'll find it helpful, and if not, I congratulate you for you must have already mastered everything. Know thyself. What kind of vocation or career do you feel drawn to as an individual? You absolutely have to figure that out. What's your why? What are you passionate about? Seek out mentors and commit to apprenticeships in which you'll undergo years of humble observation, skill acquisition, and making your own reference experiences, instead of basing all your knowledge on theoretical studies. Revert to a feeling of deep humility and open-mindedness, eager to learn from everyone. Cross the threshold past the initial fatiguing stages of learning. Embrace resistance and pain. Dismiss of limiting comfort and false sense of security latching onto what's familiar. Once you've completed your apprenticeship, make a shift. Take bold, self-secure actions and apply your skills, connecting new ideas and letting your own creativity free. Learn to handle criticism and failure. Be grateful for the chance to grow and improve through your mistakes. The main separation of true masters to others is not an intellectual, but an emotional component. To quote Eric Thomas, "In school there were guys way smarter than me. Most of them aren't doing what I'm doing. Why? 'Cause you gotta have heart. You gotta have heart, alright?" Social intelligence is key to your way to the top. Your ability to emphasize with people, see and understand their perspective will prove most valuable. Again, you gotta have heart, not just for what you do, but for yourself and other people. We tend to be judgmental, idealize, or even demonize people. Chances are you might not understand something they do. Be a neutral observer when learning. Don't project your own thoughts, emotions, and insecurities onto others. At the same time, people will do that to you. They could hinder your progress through their envy, conformism, rigidity, narcissism, laziness, irresponsibility, and passive aggression. Learn to dodge those vices like the potentially deadly bullets they are. Acta non verba. Speak through your accomplishments. Your point is proven and you can't be sabotaged. Almost nothing good comes from talking about your future projects to people who don't have the same values, the same worldview as you do. Your ego will get in the way from time to time. It's important to know that you're not your thoughts. Your actions matter most. Hence, try to distance yourself emotionally from your ego. See yourself through the lens of others and work on your flaws and shortcomings. And don't take criticism personally from people who don't know what they're talking about. When criticizing someone, choose your words carefully, make it constructive, and talk like an expert only on subjects you're familiar with. Remember how energetic and full of life you were as a child? The sense of wonder and endless curiosity about everything. Relearn to see the world through that lens. It will stimulate your creativity like nothing else. Dispel of all your preconceived notions about the world. Dismissing of all limiting beliefs and releasing your imagination will prove powerful beyond measure. Be as fluid as water and think outside the box. Change is good. Unconventional approaches are what starts innovation. Having unpopular beliefs is a sign you're onto something. To quote Mark Twain, "Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect." Learn to challenge and question popular ideas. Learning is a gift on its own. Soon enough, you'll be connecting a wide array of ideas from different fields of study and disciplines, coming to conclusions on universal truths. Take Josh Waitzkin for example. Once he mastered the chessboard, he was able to transfer what he learned onto his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and master the sport within a much shorter period of time. Again, what's your why? You have to visualize, write down and repeat what you're living for. What's your purpose? What's your destiny? Feel consciously connected to it and you won't be able to wait to get up in the morning. See what new challenges you'll face while pursuing your dreams. Picture success as a heavy rooftop, and the pillars to support it are self-discipline, passion, persistence, concentration, sweat, self-reliance, observance, confidence, self-trust, commitment, modesty, formlessness, fearlessness, and open-mindedness. And there's also ways to make that rooftop lighter by dismissing of hindrances such as complacency, conservatism, helplessness, impatience, grandiosity, inflexibility, distractions, egotism, and overall negativity. In closing, I wholeheartedly recommend reading the book yourself. No amount of animated videos would be able to serve as a substitute for it, or the other books for that matter. It's probably one of the most important ones you'll ever read. If you haven't realized by now, Robert Greene is one of the best authors living today. I guess there's no saving you. I'm joking, of course. But then again, every good joke has a little bit of truth to it. As always, thanks for watching. And subscribe for more supplementary animated video book summaries, which will serve you on your own way to becoming a true master.